Present.
Jeff Jones.
Here.
And Council Representative Chad Keene. I see you.
Sorry about that. I needed to unmute. I'm here.
You're good. Mr. Wagner, we have a quorum.
Very good, thank you. I think we're going to let Danielle come in at this point and have a discussion for the necessity of the electronic meetings, which I think we've all understand and kind of comprehend what's going on, but we'll let her give us the lowdown on what the city's doing and how this works.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, in general, governing bodies in Tennessee are not allowed to meet electronically, but the governor has issued an executive order, number 16, that suspends the provisions of the Open Meetings Act to the extent necessary to allow bodies such as the Industrial Development Board to meet electronically rather than gathering physically, as long as you all make a determination that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, welfare, and safety of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. So at this time, it would be appropriate for the Industrial Development Board to have a brief discussion of the necessity for the electronic meeting and vote accordingly by roll call votes. And Tom, this gets a little difficult. I think it's best, Tom, if you call each person's name and note their vote so that it can be reflected in the minutes.
Okay, and what are they voting to adopt? Just to acknowledge?
They're voting that it is necessary, or if it doesn't pass, they're saying that it's not necessary to have an electronic meeting. If they don't feel it's necessary to meet electronically like this, then we should adjourn this until we can meet in public or in person. So at this point, if members of the Industrial Development Board feel that it's necessary to meet electronically, they should say that.
Okay. And there's no need for a motion. We just do a roll call.
I think a roll call vote is sufficient given where we are.
Okay. Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so this is a vote for the we agree we need to have this meeting.
Electronically, yes.
Electronically, yes.
In order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennessee.
David Wagner.
Yes.
Bert Crandall.
Yes.
Rob Nyker.
Yes.
Logan McCabe.
Yes, sir.
Nancy Cook.
Yes.
Raj Venkataraman.
Yes.
Jeff Jones.
Yes.
Okay, it is unanimous.
Very good, thank you. And I think, Tom, you were going to jump in here, maybe deviate just a little bit from the agenda for the introduction.
I was going to go ahead and introduce Matt Garland. He doesn't have a live shot because he didn't get a haircut, so I'm going to call him out on that. But Matt Garland joined us actually the last day of February. He came into the office on the first Monday of March, and a few weeks later, basically started working from home. But he is our new economic development specialist. Matt and I have known each other for a lot of years, and I've got a lot of respect for him, and he's definitely a welcome part of the team here in Bristol. But we're excited for when we could actually be in the office together and do things a little bit different than we are now. But we're extremely happy to have Matt. Matt, if you want to tell everybody hello. I see you're muted.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad to be a part of the team.
Thank you.
So hopefully we'll have face-to-faces again pretty soon. So, but Matt's going to probably bring up a few items that he's working on towards the end of the meeting. But other than that, we do have a few guests that when we get to them on the agenda item, Tara, we'll let her introduce Mr. Bentz from Alden Jenkins, and then we'll kind of go from there. This is a new format for us, but this is a pretty good group, so I'd say it'll move pretty smooth. So, Mr. Chairman.
Very good, thank you, Tom. We'll get back into the agenda. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the October 28th meeting. You should have received copies of those via email. If you've had a chance to review them, I'd entertain a motion to approve minutes.
So moved.
Yeah. Second.
Or second, whichever.
Any other discussion, questions?
Who made the motion in the
Say aye.
second?
You want to roll call these, or how do you want to do those?
We can just do aye and nay, but who made the motion and who seconded? I didn't catch that.
I made a motion.
Rob? And who
And
seconded?
Logan was second.
Logan second.
Okay. Thank you. A little different. It's hard to pick up on the voices.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Any opposed? Good. Passes. All right, now we'll get into the financial report. Tom, if you want to
Yes, since it's been several months, you got the actual statement that finance gave to us. There is just the beginning balance for March 31st and ending balance of March 31st are the same, which is $102,423.18, and then we have the CD of $100,000. If you recall from the minutes of the October meeting, we did have an ending balance of $112,007. Since that time, we have made a couple payments to Muldens Jenkins for the audit that you'll be hearing a report on soon. Plus, we also paid for the advanced placement testing. We agreed to pay up to $8,000, and in this case, it was $7,860. And then there were a few $1,000s worth of expo expenses that came in late as far as got processed and checks cut. But you can see this is basically all the activity since July. You see the larger disbursements because of the Pinnacle and the 420 money coming through the state sales tax rebate. Plus, there was a large amount of $260,000 which went to Royal. That was a grant agreement that we had entered into several years ago, and that is money that was given to us from the state that we passed through to Royal Building Products for their expansion project. Other than that, it's pretty much just standard things. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to, especially with Tara here.
Are there any questions for Tom?
No.
Entertain a motion to accept these financials.
Raj, approve.
Raj, the motion.
Second.
Rob, the second.
I seconded it. Mhm. Jeff,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
no problem.
Okay. Any other questions or conversation about the financials? All those in favor of accepting the financials, say aye.
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 Very good. All right. I think, Tom, you want to hand this over to Tara at this point? And
Yeah, Tara Music, she's our director of finance, and she obviously is beyond immersed in all the financials with the IDB. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Music.
Okay. The audit was conducted this year by Molden and Jenkins out of their Chattanooga office, and it was conducted under the leadership of Matt Hill. And he has since left the firm, and James Bent is going to be our new audit partner. So James has agreed to present the audit to you today. Mr. Bent, you want to take it from there?
Well, thank you. Good morning, good midday to everyone. My name is James Bentz. I'm one of the governmental partners with Malden and Jenkins. And as you heard, Matt Hill is no longer with the firm. So it is a little bit of an unusual presentation this year. I'm wrapping my arms around everything, but feel pretty confident that I can go through the presentation for you all. So I believe everyone has had a copy of the electronic financial statements. They are as of June 30, 2019. And as the independent external auditors, it's our responsibility to audit those financial statements on their presentation in accordance with government auditing standards as well as generally accepted audit standards. That means we don't test 100% of the transactions, but we do test enough of the transactions to be able to render our opinion if the financial statements are materially correct as presented by management. As part of this year's audit, we did issue an unmodified opinion, which is the clean opinion, which states that the financial statements are materially correct. I will say, not being part of the audit, but being able to speak onto the audit, it is a good situation to be walking into to see that there were no auditor entries as part of this year's audit. There were a few entries that management provided to the audit team, Those were posted to the financials and posted to your accounting records, but all of the accounting transactions were properly accounted for by management based on our testing. One of the things that we always try to make sure that we communicate to the boards as part of the audit process, we are auditing the presentation of your financial statements. Along with that process, we also review any estimates that are used by management as well as any accounting policies, just to make sure that there's nothing kind of outside the norm for your type of an entity. And we're able to report that all the estimates and all the accounting policies and principles utilized by the IDB this year were in line with industry norms. And so something that doesn't kind of jump out from our reports, but always something we want to make sure we've communicated. I'll also point out, GASB's always coming out with new accounting standards. There's not a significant amount of them that would impact your financial reporting this year. But just to point out, GASB is looking in the next 20 days to release a new standard that's going to extend the implementation of the new standards that would have been applicable this year for another fiscal year due to the COVID situation going around right now. So GASB is actually looking on May 15th to extend all current implementation periods by 1 year. So that's something we try to stay abreast with and kind of keep our management teams informed of. But we always want to just kind of present upcoming standards to the governing bodies, because obviously something that may or may not be applicable now, the decisions you all make as the board can change which standards and statements are applicable. So with that, if you all have any specific questions, I'd be happy to get into them. Otherwise, it looks like we had a good clean audit this year. So happy and excited to be walking the situation.
Are there any questions?
This is Raj. Is the audit is very similar to previous years?
Yes, sir. It looks like your last couple of years have been very clean. Activity-wise, 19 looks very comparable to 18. Your investments are very comparable, and just the overall net change in your fund balance was, you know, for an entity of your size, pretty consistent.
This Tara's doing, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
This is Tara's doing, isn't it?
We'll give credit where it's due.
Not solely on my own, though. It takes a lot of work. It's a little entity, but there's a lot of complicated transactions.
Well, I was gonna say, if you can understand note 4 all the way through, you've done pretty well.
It's you got a lot going on, but it looks good.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept the audit.
Raj?
Raj makes a motion.
Logan, second.
Logan
Logan,
will give me a second. Okay, very good. Got a motion and a second. Tom, let's roll call this one, just because it's an audit.
If there's no other discussion, David Wagner,
Yes.
Dirk Crandall,
Yes.
Rob Nyker,
Yes.
Logan McCabe,
yes.
Nancy Cook,
Yes.
Raj Venkataraman,
Yes.
Jeff Jones.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Very good, thank you, guys. Okay, continue on the audit trail here. We have a 2020 engagement letter. Tara, I'm not sure who's going to discuss this.
That's Tara.
I can review
Tara and
this.
James.
We received the engagement letter from Malden Jenkins for the FY20 fiscal year. And I read through the letter just to make sure that the wording was in accordance with industry standards. Everything looked okay. I didn't see any problems with it. The fee is $9,430, which matches the proposal that we got when we went out to bid 3 years ago. And we have 2 years left on this current contract proposal. So everything looks fine to me. I didn't know any problems. After the contract is signed, the engagement letter, then Tom will go online and he and James will work on signing the contract with the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
Are there any questions specific to the engagement or to the letter?
Entertain a motion to approve the execution of the engagement letter.
Make the motion.
Rob,
Second.
Jeff, and then Rob. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Hey, since this is money, should we go ahead and do roll call?
Yes.
Okay,
Do the roll call vote for that.
thank you. David Wagner,
Yes.
Dirk Randall,
Yes.
Rob Nyker,
Yes.
Logan McCabe,
Yes.
Nancy Cook,
Yes.
Raj Venkataraman,
Yes.
Jeff Jones.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Very good. Tom, I think that's everything we had actually on the agenda, but I know we do have some other folks that you thought may want to give a little update.
Yeah, I'll just, Clay and April are both on here, and we have several phone calls. We have a static meeting. Lynn's on here also, which is part of what we consider our team here in Bristol and Sullivan County, and we communicate almost constantly through all this. We talk a lot anyway on the best of days, but given the challenges that we have now, we have meetings quite regularly, and we make sure that we're not duplicating efforts, especially with industry, and making sure that we get information out to everyone. But I'm going to let Matt, he's been working on an effort since obviously we were going to have a hiring expo this spring, which right now it's just suspended indefinitely. And then Matt came up with another idea, and I'm going to just let him explain what it is he's wanting to do, and then I'll let the rest of the partners chime in if they'd like to. Matt?
All right. Thank you, Tom. What we want to do, since, the virus has kind of shut down our hiring expo, we came up with an idea of what I'm calling a virtual hiring expo. We're going to develop what would be an online experience via a portal or an app or a web page or all of the above. We'll leave that to the experts to figure out the best funnel to get this out to the public. But we want to keep it open for multiple days. That way, people have an opportunity to access it online. Some people that will apply for a job may not have access to a home computer, so they need to get somewhere so they can do that. We're going to open this up to Bristol business and industry. So the people that were already participating in the hiring expo, we'll contact them, but also we'll open it up to everybody else that wants to participate. We are currently looking for what we're calling a statement of qualifications. So a potential employee would actually go to this portal, website, app, whatever, and there would be a statement of qualifications, kind of a generic application, if you will. And they will put in some information based on just minimum information that would trigger certain qualifications. So you'd have your contact information and then what you do, what you can do, what you're qualified for. And on the backside of this online experience, you would have coded words that would trigger. So all the business and industry that are participating, there would be a filter on the back end. So once this person fills out an application and they hit submit, then it trips another page or portal or window or whatever, where it shows these are the places that you could potentially be qualified for. So then the potential employee has the opportunity to check, okay, I want to work here, I want to work here, I want to work here, or I want to make application for those places. They may pick one or they may pick all. They may be qualified for 10 or they may not be qualified for any. Once they select those businesses, that statement of qualification would then be electronically submitted to the HR director of the business or industry. And then that's kind of what we're doing. So we're a conduit, And then it's up to the HR director to follow back up with that individual. But what we're looking to do for companies that are wanting to reopen, we want to kind of stoke a pipeline of employees or potential employees that are out there, people that are ready to go to work, that they're qualified. So this kind of gets everybody ready. There's a line in queue of people that are waiting. They want to work, they're ready to work, they're qualified. And then electronically, they can start communicating with that HR director or the HR personnel, however it works. And they have those qualified applicants. So immediately they go into the office, they're already qualified, they start the paperwork process, and they can say, okay, you can start this date. So it speeds up the process. The ask that we would have of you as we move forward with this, obviously we're going to need some assistance, some financial assistance with advertisement to get the word out. I don't know how that will be in form of TV ads or web ads or print or email blasts or however we do that. And then also we'll have to, we're going to work with some developers and working with John with the city in developing the actual portal app, web design, all of that. That's a quick elevator pitch as to what this program is. Does anybody have any questions?
Matt, I'm surprised that something like this doesn't already exist in the community. I guess I had thought that the Chamber of Commerce and some others had things online like this around here already.
There are certain programs out there and certain places where you can go and search for jobs and things like this. This is a little deeper dive on that, in that we are actually the conduit between the potential employee and the employer. So think of it as a virtual hiring space. So we're setting up our booths for 3 or 4 days. These companies are going to be there waiting to receive these applicants. So virtually the applicant comes in, fills out a statement of qualifications, and then the HR director receives that. So instead of just going in and applying for a job or looking for a want ad through Monster or Indeed.com or something like that, this connects it at a deeper level, and it creates that pipeline where we can say, hey, you know, the city of Bristol has actually been working to create a pipeline of 1,000 people, just random number, you know, that are ready to go to work, that are qualified to go to work. So once this virus is squashed and people start ramping back up, we're ready to go. It accelerates the process, if you will.
And Nancy, it also keeps a job seeker from filling out 15 different applications. It's a little more, you know, it plugs them in hopefully to an employer that they're qualified to work for, and then going forward. So it's gonna have a little more hand-holding by us to make sure that the pieces are connected and not just, you know, just sort of set out there in cyberspace and hope they find each other. We'll do a little more hands-on matchmaking.
And Tom, you're building on a prior relationship with the customers already, and past experience with the expo as well.
Thank you.
So trusted source, absolutely.
Have we estimated any cost involved?
We're not really sure. That's where we're working with John, because we'll use a lot of the same, I guess, media platforms that we did with the expo as far as the reach, but there may be some more tweaking, and then there may be some more things where we could reach farther than we were just with the current media mix, I guess, that we're using. But Matt's working, sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to jump in. Matt's working with John, or will be working with John on what the best marketing mix will be.
And we just want to make sure, you know, I don't want to surprise anybody with any craziness coming up. You know, we may be able to handle this all in-house. I know our partners at Networks have opted to we're connecting with them as well. There's some ways to do it, but like Tom said, you know, we want to be able to connect with the most people possible. We also want to make it as easy as possible. Some of these folks that need to go to work, they may not even have a resume right now. And so if we can make it virtually easy to point and click so that they can get back to work, we want to do that as easy as possible. So in terms of web development, we may be able to handle everything in-house, but there may be some cost to develop the proper tool to get us where we need to go.
Is this something that would be ongoing then, just since it's virtual, instead of like the hiring expo, would this one then run 365 days a year after you have it set up and then work in conjunction with physical expos in the future?
I think based on the success of this trial run or this first go, if it is a virtual success and employers are pleased with it, I certainly want to carry it on. And I think that it will. We've got to get it out there and get it up and running. But it's certainly something that could definitely run in the background and complement our actual physical hiring expos that we utilize.
Because anytime with our current expos that we have, anybody that did participate, they also had an online presence. So if you weren't able to make it to the expo that day, you could go to our landing page and find out who did participate, which employers didn't, that they did participate in the expo. And then you could then go put in applications for each of the individual businesses. This is something to actually even make that process simpler. So I see it living on, Jeff.
And Jeff, also there's could be instance of where an individual is currently employed, and in a physical hiring expo, they get in the door and they see their employer at the hiring expo. They don't want their employer to know probably that they're looking for a job, so they could actually seek out the virtual hiring and do that without, running into their HR director or something like that. Any other questions? All right. Thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Y'all will get to meet him one day.
Tom, anybody else have any updates or information?
Yeah, I was going to see if Lynn or Clay or April would like to give any kind of updates, because like I said, we talk a lot, but y'all don't get to hear from them as much as we do. So
sure, I'll start if you don't mind, Tom. So this is Lynn, and y'all have seen me before, a few of you at least. What I'm hearing with Tennessee ECD from the governor's office, of course, we're going through the process right now with the Economic Recovery Group of writing those guidelines and giving the suggestions as to how to open up the economy. Obviously, it's slow going. It's coming out in pieces. But we are seeing things open up. It appears that they are opening up in accordance with that. So I don't think that we're going to have a huge issue with enforcement or anything like that. I don't think that we're going to have to do that, and that's a good thing. I mean, that speaks to how strong our Tennesseans are, and how we all really are trying to work together to be sure that this coronavirus gets out of here as fast as we can. From the state's perspective, we still have a lot of things moving. We have still seen a lot of projects happening. We've got a list of probably somewhere around 20 now projects that are in the pipeline, waiting for, and this is across the state, waiting for a press release when all the rest of this stuff moves on out. So, like I said, we're still seeing things happening. We know that there's going to be a hole to dig out of to some degree as well, but we are still seeing some very positive movement. So just thought I'd let y'all know that. Anything that you want to know from me specifically, have any questions that I might be able to answer? All right, well, thank you.
Clay, your box lit up, so I guess you're ready.
My box lit up?
Your box lit up.
I must have been breathing too heavy. I
I
wasn't saying anything.
thought you were going to eat a sandwich with us.
I was going to throw a cat, but I don't have a cat. Um, well, you know, we've, first of all, those who don't know him, don't get too excited about meeting Matt in person. He's not that dynamic, but we've enjoyed, you know, sometimes as Tom said, communications has been challenged in a little bit, but we've really stayed in touch with our whole team, and it's been good to meet that. I'm in touch with people throughout the state. We have a couple different groups of economic developers who we get on a Zoom meeting. We're making them regular once a week to find out what's going on in other communities and exactly, you know, how other people are dealing with issues, what issues they're facing, what we can learn from each other, because again of the of this unique challenge that's been put in front of us. One of the things we've been involved in is the Region Ahead website and certain a lot of spin-offs from that, including a local business recovery fund. So if you go on regionahead.com, you can learn how small businesses can apply for grants. The amount of those grants and number of grants awarded will depend upon how much money we are able to raise. And you can also, so you can go on there to donate, or you can go on there to apply for a grant. And in fact, that movement, we're going to have a Zoom meeting with the members of Tennessee Chamber of Commerce. I believe on Wednesday we're going to have a Zoom meeting amongst our partners and other parties affiliated with that effort this afternoon to go over that. We've been sending out at least once a week an email to our existing industries, and thanks to Lynn and the Bristol team as well. You guys provided a really neat, navigable resource guide that we forwarded on our regular distribution list to resources, just keeping them up to date on what the latest in dealing with COVID-19 assistance and resources are. So it's been a challenging time. Prospect activity, not all of it has died down. Some people we were working with, we're doing some virtual meetings as well as just the old-fashioned conference call. And we've even got a handful of new prospects we're working right now. But you know, who knows what the future holds in economic development, but we just have to rely on our partners, on all our resources. Particularly ECD has done a great job, Lynn. Everybody in Nashville on that team is doing great. We're going to have a statewide conference call with the commissioner later this week. So it's kind of every day, you know, it's kind of the nature of this business anyway, but particularly now, every day, who knows what the future holds.
There's April.
And my dog behind me, which that's actually just a screenshot. So as both Lynn and Clay have said, we're just continuing to work with our business and industry, continuing to reach out to them and see how things are going and look for opportunities to help them be reminded what's out there. And as Clay's already said, the information from Lynn and the city of Bristol has been extremely helpful. Continuing to work on our Bristol Business Park. We're actually in the process of certifying it again. This is our third year that to continue to do the due diligence and reporting, et cetera, for it to be a Select Tennessee certified site. And we're also continuing to work on our lot, what we call 2, on the left of the Bristol Business Park, and hoping to get that out for bid so that we can start moving dirt again. And then, Tom, I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about community livability.
No, you go ahead.
Well,
got it. Go for it.
Well, just real quickly, a program through TVA, the Bristol team has been selected at 1 of 10, and Clay or Tom, you correct me if I'm, or Matt, 1 of 10 to basically go through a process of putting all of our assets together, community mapping assets, and then being able to pitch it to a site selection consultant. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it was Tennessee, Mississippi, and Kentucky were the 3 states, but there's 10 cities chosen. So Bristol did make application, and it was a competitive process. So this is free for us as far as going through the process, but it's something that's going to be invaluable as we go and we market and we do the talent recruitment. It's not just Bristol, it's everything that makes Bristol livable. So we're looking at our labor shed, which is pretty extensive. So it's about the combined statistical area is what we're looking at when we do the asset mapping, not just Bristol proper. So it is not an easy process. It's rather involved.
But a good exercise.
Extremely good exercise. Makes us take a good hard look at ourselves.
Do you guys have an idea of timing on that?
We have we got a milestone due next month that we will be talking directly with the consultants. And then we have a few more months to put it together. This is going to include video, testimonials, a lot of things. And then we'd go, right now it's currently scheduled for the middle of July to go and make this presentation.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, April.
Thank you, April. All right, Tom, is there anything else? Anybody have anything else good to the order? Tom, is there anything?
No, sir. We're good.
Very good. Hearing nothing else, we'll be adjourned.
All right. Thank you, everybody. It's good to see your faces.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.